I want to first respond to the opposition's argument that in the past 50 years, relations with African Americans have improved tremendously. He also mentions our black president to boost his claim. However, according to an article by USNews.com by Lindsay Cook on December 15, 2014, African Americans are actually becoming less optimistic that a solution for race relations will be reached, while Caucasians, on the other hand, are becoming more optimistic. One need only look at the increasing amount of racial prejudice and aggression against African Americans in the form of police brutality and other forms of discrimination over the past 50 years that have led to movements like the Black Panther, established in 1966, and more recently Black Lives Matter, to realize that African Americans are right and opposition is wrong. The slope, as opposition puts it, is actually downwards. Next, I would like to respond to the opposition's argument that reparations would take away from the government, create dependency, and not stimulate the economy. Reparations wouldn't take away from the government because of my plan of defense spending. I outlined it in my proposition opening. Furthermore, it wouldn't create dependency because we are only paying reparations once, because we are compensating for the unpaid labor of slavery specifically. Any further claims of reparations, as well as claims by other ethnicities, will not be considered legitimate without a new cause. We will not provide milk for the mouse's cookie, as opposition put it. In addition, I quote the opposition, "I understand this one time of reparations would not necessarily mean all that. Since we are only paying once for the unpaid labor of slavery, and not for any other claims that African Americans and other ethnicities might make, no link to opposition's disadvantage." In response to the opposition's argument that the economy would not be boosted, would not be stimulated, I disagree. Providing money for lower-income African Americans will allow them to boost consumer spending instead of spending all of their money on necessities, such as food, shelter, which is a boon for the economy. Increased consumer spending, increased nation's economy. In addition, paying reparations is good for the sake of global morality, which opposition did not respond to. Reparations are worth to be paid, even if it doesn't boost the economy, which I mentioned in my proposition opening as well. In response to the opposition's argument that some African Americans will feel offended by the payment of reparations and see it as a sign of disrespect, because we're up here and they're down here, this is my counterplan. Simply ask them if they would be offended, and if they would, withhold the money and redistribute it elsewhere. Finally, I'm going to run a permutation on the opposition's education counterplan. I also believe that education in impoverished, lower-income African-American neighborhoods is important in being able to close the racial divide, but that doesn't solve the years of unpaid labor under lawful slavery or elevate the United States global morality. If we follow my counterplan and redistribute the money from offended African-Americans to education, we'd be able to solve all of these problems. This has been my proposition rebuttal. Thank you for your time.